I went on a first date with a seemingly normal guy I met at the dog park, and it ended with a secret restraining order, a flying glass of chewed-up gum, and him getting physically dragged out into the street by security. I genuinely thought I had met the perfect guy. We kept bumping into each other while walking our dogs in the local park, and for a couple of months, it was just really nice, normal conversation. We'd stand there chatting about absolute rubbish while the dogs chased tennis balls. He seemed completely grounded, really friendly, and perfectly sane. Eventually, he asked if he could take me out for a drink at the local pub. It was literally a 5-minute walk from my house. I already knew I got along with him, so I figured, why not? I said I'd love to. Fast forward to Friday night. We meet up, get our drinks, and everything is going great. We are talking exactly like we always had in the park. The banter is flowing, and I am genuinely having a lovely time thinking this could actually go somewhere. But then, his entire demeanour just completely shifts. It was like a switch flipped. I asked him what was wrong, and he leans in, but he starts talking so aggressively loudly. I swear the entire pub could hear him. He abruptly points across the room and says, "See that twat collecting the glasses?" I followed where he was pointing, feeling instantly awkward, and quietly said, "Yeah, I'm guessing you know him." He then loudly, and I mean loudly, announces that the guy collecting empty glasses from the tables was the man who had slept with his ex-girlfriend. He starts going on this massive rant about how it was all this guy's fault that they had split up. I was trying to keep the peace and lower the volume of the conversation, so I asked him if the guy had actually known she was in a relationship at the time. Gary immediately got super defensive, crossing his arms and glaring. The guy collecting glasses obviously heard his name being shouted across the room. He walked right over to our table, looking completely exhausted, and calmly said, "Leave it out, Gary. You had been split up for 2 weeks when I met Julie, so don't rewrite history." Gary practically jumped out of his seat. He glared at him and shouted, "We could have sorted it out, but no, you came along and ruined things." I was so confused at this point, I actually jumped in and said, "Hang on, so you were already broken up when they got together?" The look Gary gave me was actually comical. He looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. He said, "That's irrelevant. He prevented me from sorting things out with her." The guy holding the empty glasses just looked Gary dead in the eye and said, "The restraining order did that, Gary." And then the guy just turned around and walked off. I couldn't help it. The absolute whiplash of finding out my lovely dog park date had a restraining order against him from his ex made me instantly burst out laughing. I was laughing so hard I was literally crying. I was holding my stomach, completely losing it at the pub table. And this led to the greatest, most chaotic misunderstanding of all time. Gary genuinely thought I wasn't laughing. He thought I was crying because I was upset by the other guy. Gary puffs out his chest, completely ignoring the fact that he just got exposed, and shouts across the pub at the glass collector, "You upset my girlfriend." The guy stopped, looked at me holding my belly in absolute hysterics, and looked back at Gary as if to say, "Are you really this stupid?" I just managed to catch my breath long enough to gasp out, "It's our first date." That made the glass collector laugh even harder. As he chuckled and turned to walk back to the bar, Gary completely lost his mind. He lunged forward and shoved the guy from behind. The entire tray of empty glasses went flying into the air. One of those glasses was half full of what looked like orange juice, and it had a massive blob of someone's chewed-up pink chewing gum floating right in the middle of it. The entire thing toppled backwards and splashed directly over Gary's head. It was absolute chaos. Security immediately swooped in, grabbed Gary by the arms, and physically threw him out of the pub. I grabbed my bag and followed them outside just to see how this ended. So there we are. Me, the burly security guy, and the glass collector, all standing just outside the pub doors, while Gary stood on the pavement glaring at us, absolutely dripping in sticky orange juice. That was when I noticed the pink chewing gum. It was firmly, completely stuck right in the front of his hair. I completely lost it all over again and just pointed at it. The security guy followed my finger and saw it. The glass collector saw it, and all three of us were standing there in absolute hysterics. Gary realised we were laughing at him, spun around, and stormed off into the night, shouting words I definitely cannot repeat. Have you ever uncovered a massive, chaotic secret on a first date, or watched someone completely destroy their own life in public? Tell me your absolute worst date story in the comments, so I know I'm not the only one, and make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next disaster.